Dan and Corey here, welcoming you into Libservative.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back.
Welcome in to another rousing rendition of Libservative, intellectual idiots fostering political and cultural literacy, the world's smartest podcast.
Always.
All opinions heard on tonight's show are our own and not necessarily those of Libservative. He, as always, is Corey Walsh.
He's Dan Griffin.
Mel the Bodysnatcher on the ones and twos. Did anything happen since we last did an episode?
Trump starting a cell phone service.
Is that it?
That's
Is
all
it
that I
really?
can really
Is
think of.
Is
Yeah,
that a real thing?
yeah. Bell, go ahead, look that up. Get us some deets on that. Bell is starting a Trump is starting a cell phone service.
I can't wait to
Something
hear what it's
about him
called.
making regulations that will probably make other cell phones like not regulations, but the tariffs making other cell phones more expensive, but then turning around and creating his own
Yeah, this is
cell
amazing.
phone plan with phones that are
It's
using
amazing how that works.
what is it? It's fucking Google or the Google
Trump Wireless.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it's
See,
called.
I would have thought it was going to be
Trump-
called something way dumber than that.
Trump Wireless is offering $499 devices, which will use the towers and the networks of 3 different
Yeah.
carriers.
What is it?
Ah.
Verizon, AT&T, and who's the other one?
T-Mobile.
Does T-Mobile have their own towers?
Yeah, they bought out
I don't
Sprint.
fucking care. Is everybody's grandpa is going to have one of these?
Yeah, because and not because they like Trump, but
Yeah.
because they're on fixed incomes. It's
No, well,
basically the Obama phone, but privatized.
You got to buy the phone outright.
Look at Trump being a
It's-
neoliberal. Trump being out there being a neoliberal, fucking
It's so
privatizing all
funny
the
because-
services.
It's so funny because I just met a guy the other day who is like so, and honestly, I kind of respect it in a way, but he's like so afraid of Big Brother. He doesn't and has never owned a cell phone. And he says it's because he doesn't want Big Brother to track him. Look, I respect the logic, but like he would buy one of these because he doesn't think that Trump is Big Brother. So
Right.
he'll get one
Oh,
of these.
thank
instead.
God.
A little alternative.
Oh, thank God, finally. Big government made a phone protected from big government.
Yeah, so Israel started a war with Iran, by the way. That was the other minor
Oh,
detail.
fuck, that's right.
Minor detail. It was interesting because I kind of felt bad that I had this thought, but it kind of seems like the big things always happen on Thursdays, which is the day after we do our show. So we can never have like these instant reaction type things. But I have so many notes on this. I don't think we're going to quite get to all of it. The sad part is there were other huge things that happened. You had, a sitting U.S. senator get arrested for questioning Kristi Noem. You
Dude,
had
you had sitting representatives get murdered.
assassinated in Minnesota. We're not going to get to any of that tonight because this is obviously
One's still alive, though.
the big story. That's true. Yeah.
Well, didn't
But
3
one
get
assassination
was it
attempted.
what was it?
I don't know,
Didn't
man. I haven't had enough time to look into all this stuff.
How many of them got shot? Wasn't there like am I
It
confusing?
was 2 couples. It was 2 couples.
Two couples.
The,
2 got
okay,
murdered.
the woman
and then
that
the other
woman,
couple, one survived of the 2.
No, the one couple both got murdered, and then the other couple he tried to murder them both, but they both survived.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yes.
Come on now, you expect me to believe that?
Yeah, it's in the news, Dan.
Preemptive strikes, Corey. That is what Israel says that they launched upon Iran's nuclear sites and also, I guess, assassinating key military officials in
Kind
Iran.
of a lot of them.
What's the problem with the term preemptive strike?
It makes you the aggressor.
There's no such thing. There's no such thing as like a defensive preemptive strike. This goes back civilizations. This isn't even ours. The
Yeah,
Romans said
it's
this.
kind of like all of us hanging out and like we're at a party and me and you are both trying to hit on the same chick, right? And so you both know, we're like, no, Hammy, I'm gonna try to spit my best game at her, and then like you getting pissed, and then you just deck me because you thought that I was an asshole and I was gonna deck you.
No,
Well,
I
he
was
was
gonna
gonna
say-
hit me.
I was going to say I just slide in first to make sure my swimmers win the race.
Nah, dude, I'm in the car yelling dibs. It's bro code, bro. You can't go against dibs.
Okay. So you gotta love the 2002 Donald Rumsfeld lingo that's being thrown around about this. What's so interesting to me is the fact that, and lots of people have pointed this out in the last week, but I have to reiterate this. The neocons and the Iran hawks, both in Congress and elsewhere, are utilizing the exact same playbook from 2002 about Iraq. There's one key difference, though. This has also been pointed out, which is the fact that they didn't even bother to propagandize us for 2 years leading up to this. And the other, I
Right.
guess, main difference is that we don't have, a rally around the flag event, thankfully, like 9/11 in 2001, where everybody was, I was a kid, but I was like, let's go fight those turds. I'm joining the military when I graduate high school.
As you're saying
I
this,
said shit like that.
right? As you're saying that, yo, yeah, I remember September 11th, 2001, and
What happened?
watching the
Something happened that
news with
day?
my dad. Yeah, a little bit. A couple things happened that day. It was a rally around the flag moment, right?
It
And
sure was.
it was we were watching like the news or whatever, and it was when that I'm sure you both remember it now. I'm sure you've seen clips, but I saw it live. When it was like, I think the senators, they broke into songs singing God Bless America. Do you remember that on live TV?
No.
Bell says, I see Bell nodding his head. He remembers it. Yeah, like there's clips of it. Bell, go ahead and search that and pull that up. Pull that up.
Does he have
2011.
to?
And I didn't know who the fuck Muslims were. Like I was like in 7th grade, right? I'm just figuring out how my dick works. And, and then all of a sudden, like I remember getting in the car when that day happened and my mom going, because my mom brought us out of school early and she goes, Corey, do you know what the World Trade Towers are? My brother, who's 3 years younger than me, he was just learning about like cocoa, like something in science about cocoa beans, and learning that they were traded at the towers. Well, they're not anymore. Spoiler alert, right? But
What?
when she first said the Twin Towers, my mind didn't even go to the towers in New York. My mind went to the 2 tallest towers in the world in I believe India. And they have 2 twin towers that are taller than the World Trade Centers. And when she said that, she goes, they're gone. She goes, they were taken out by terrorists. And I'm thinking, that's on the other side of the world. I don't give a shit. And then
they're in Dubai, by the way.
Right, that's in India, right? Wait, no,
UAE.
Dubai's not in India. I'm sorry. Wait, no, sorry, you
UAE.
threw me off. Anyways, I should know where Dubai is, but at the top of my head, I don't remember. But anyways,
you know as much about Dubai as Ted Cruz knows about Iran, so it's okay. You're good.
Perfect. I'm not a sitting U.S. senator. So she says that or whatever, and then she says, no, they're in New York, and she explained it to me. And I remember thinking, holy shit, that's not good. And then all of a sudden, we got all the videos of it. And then that night, I was sitting there watching the news with my dad because all of us little kids apparently were allowed to watch 2,000 people die on live TV, but weren't allowed to watch Nip Tuck on
Everything is
HBO.
awesome.
And they went into the impromptu song of God Bless America. I remember my dad saying, "Go get those bastards," and right then it was just solidified. Yeah, come people, let's go fucking get them. But there wasn't really anything like that for this one, though. Going back to what you're saying, just trying to relate to the audience.
Doing a great job, buddy. We're
Thanks,
here
man.
for you. Well, the interesting part about this is that this happened, what was it, 2 days prior to negotiations with Iran about
It was either a day or two, and they killed the lead negotiator.
enrichment and nuclear. And the common theory rolling around here is that it was that the discussions over the some sort of negotiations that were supposed to take place was all a ruse, because immediately after, I just remember, like immediately after the bombing started, I remember taking to Twitter and just seeing all of this Israel went behind Trump's back and all this and that and all this and that, and Trump's not going to support this. And come to find out that the second explanation is a little bit more likely. That the negotiations were a ruse to have the Iranians lower their proverbial defenses so that Israel could launch this attack. I think we're going to probably find a lot more out about that for sure in the coming days and weeks, maybe even before we do our next episode. Who knows? But this, my first thought was this when I was kind of trying to parse this all together. You know how social media is. It's a bunch of videos. It's a bunch of people saying a bunch of different shit. And my first thought, when I was still open to the possibility that maybe they really did go behind Trump's back and do this without the go-ahead. It didn't take me long to figure out that was probably not possible. But my first thought was like, holy shit, this could be Trump's moment. Like, this could legitimately be Trump's moment. Like, Trump could be a hero in this. If he turns around and says, that's a bridge too far, Israel. This is a dangerous attack. This could start an extraordinarily broad war, and we'll get into all the reasons why an extraordinarily broad war could still potentially come out of this. And then Trump goes to the G7 summit. And then Trump leaves the G7 summit early to apparently have a meeting in the Situation Room with regards to how to handle the situation over Israel and Iran. None of that is that weird, I guess. But the fact that the entire time, a president who has never met a camera that he doesn't like hasn't said a word. A guy that will stand in front of a camera being held by a network that he can't stand, he'll say something.
Right.
And
You are fake news.
He went days with nothing. No press conference, no address to the nation. He sure as shit allowed Bibi to come on your airwaves and propagandize you.
Bibi talking to the Iranian people in English.
In English. Bell, you have that video. I sent that one your way. Pull up Bibi's quote unquote address to the Iranian people, because this was such bullshit. This was obviously a propaganda piece for you, for me, for the Americans to get you to rally around them a little bit. I don't know what the hell the intention was. But by saying, you can, what's the word I'm looking for? By trying to gather support from Iranian dissidents, I guess, if you will. Dave Smith has come out and said he was wrong. So many people are turning on this right now, and I don't think it's enough. But here we go. Here's BB. Look at this. Look at this guy.
Proud people of Iran. We're in the midst of one of the greatest military operations in history, Operation Rising Lion. The Islamic regime, which has oppressed you for nearly 50 years, threatens to destroy my country, the State of Israel. The objective of Israel's military operation is to remove this threat, both the nuclear threat and the ballistic missile threat to Israel. And as we achieve our objectives, we're also clearing the path for you to achieve your objective, which is freedom. In the past 24 hours, we've taken out top military commanders, senior nuclear scientists, the Islamic regime's most significant enrichment facility, and a large portion of its ballistic missile arsenal. More is on the way. The regime doesn't know what hit them. They don't know what will hit them. The nation of Iran and the nation of Israel have been true friends since the days of Cyrus the Great. And the time has come for you to unite around your flag
the last 80 years
and your historic legacy by standing up for your freedom from an evil and oppressive regime. It has never been weaker. This is your opportunity to stand up and let your voices be heard. Woman, life, freedom. Zan, Zandegi, Azadi. As I said yesterday and many times before, Israel's fight is...
Uh-oh, we just lost the video. I'm not sure what happened.
Sorry, it was almost over. You know what he was about to say. Bell's camera went all over the place, too. You know what he was about to say. Yeah, this fight is not. It's not with you. It's with your government, or whatever the hell it was that he said next.
Right.
But
it's interesting that he
propaganda
throws
for
out
Americans.
like pretty liberal talking points, right? Like women and all these, like trying to prescribe to the American ideology that women, like whether you're on the left or right, short of like fringe people who are nuts and will always be nuts no matter what it is, that think women deserve, equal pay and reproductive freedom and all sorts of different things like that. So it's like he is giving a message to the American people that they would agree with. But it's to Iranian people. But it's to the Iranian people. But
right. It's
the Iranian people speak Arabic, and he's saying it in English from being the prime minister of a country whose like national language isn't even English. And he wants America to fight this war with him, but he knows that ultimately war comes down to congressional approval, and that comes down to representatives, that comes down to being elected by the people. And I don't know, it's weird to go through so many hoops to talk to the Iranian people, Dan.
It's not weird because you know this. You just said it. I've said it. This wasn't for the Iranian people.
I know
because
that. I was just
immediately after this, you start to see more of the 2002 pre-Iraq war talking points. You start to see morons like Mark Levin take to Twitter and talk about how, hey, do you remember hearing this one, Corey? We'll be greeted as liberators. You remember hearing that?
Yeah,
remember hearing that 20 years ago?
They yearn for freedom.
They yearn for it. And I'm sure there are some people that do. The Iranian regime doesn't appear to be a very nice place.
It's just pretty wild that we want to do a regime change in a country to take out the regime that is there because of regime change we did in that country. I don't know. I just got a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions, Dan.
It's interesting. It's interesting you bring that up because that's the whole part about when we'll talk about this a lot when we start talking about Tucker and Ted Cruz here in a little bit, but it's with these people, it's always a moralization based on when history started, right? It was the same thing with October 7th, right? If you're pro-Israel and you are okay with what they are doing in Gaza, history started on October 7th. Nothing before that actually matters. You'll bring up little bits and pieces of like other times in which Hamas has done horrible things to the Israeli people, and you'd be right when you bring those to the fore. But you won't talk about any history from 1948 to October 7th, 2023, because that doesn't fit your narrative. And it started with this idea that Iran can't have nukes, right? Which again is a talking point from 2002 about Saddam Hussein and
they said that
that
Iraq was working to get nuclear weapons in 1992.
But I will
might have been
give
2003, one of the two. We went at them twice.
I will give these neocons credit for this one little correction that they made, this one little caveat, which is that with Iraq in 2002, it was that Saddam definitely has weapons of mass destruction. This time, you see the little tweak they made?
If we don't do something, they will get them.
Iran will get nuclear weapons, which, as we've talked about multiple times on this show, Bibi Netanyahu and people like him have been saying since at least 1992. Glenn Greenwald actually pointed out a newspaper piece from Israel, I think from 1984. It might even go back as far as 1984 that the Israelis have been saying that Iran might get is whatever it is, a year, 2 months, 45 seconds away from getting a nuke. And the thing is, we do know that the Iranians are doing some nuclear work, some sort of enrichment for as what their claim is for nuclear power. So like,
that's not just Iran saying that. That's our own national intelligence. 3 months ago.
Right. 3 months ago. You got Tulsi Gabbard, Bell? This is only a 17-second video. This is from back in March. So
of 2025.
Of 2025. It's now June, as we record. It is June 18th, 2025. Here's Tulsi Gabbard back in
under
March,
oath.
The director of national intelligence.
Under oath, which, mind you, none of these talking heads on news or even the senators or representatives are under oath when they're on the news. And they can say whatever the fuck they want. But when you're in a room like this, it's typically a little bit more formal. Like, they want you to say the truth, so you get put under oath.
Well, and you lie anyway, but that's neither here nor there. Go ahead, Bell.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program. The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon.
So,
watching
this video and like seeing her now, like in the, like she's just intelligence, like it seems like she's gone pretty quiet during all of this too, but she's probably still in the cabinet rooms and stuff like that. And this is where I disagree with Dave Smith. Dave Smith says she should resign. I don't think that she should resign, only because it's clear that she's not just towing some sort of line for like a military industrial complex or something. And that even if she is the only sane one in the room and her words fall on deaf ears, it's still important that that dissent is in the room.
Well, I think the reason he wants her to resign is based on it's more of a principled argument.
Or like to save face. Yeah, whatever. But like,
well, no, because
who's going to get put in there as we're getting ramped up for war, and the neocons now are at 110%, like full board, 80, like 110 miles an hour, whatever, what have you. Who's going to get pushed into that position other than another stooge?
I don't know, but if she sticks where. And your point is valid, Corey. Some fucking neocon will probably weasel their way into that position of some sort.
That's going to go that's going to go to that same hearing and go, Iran is definitely trying to make nukes.
And you know what? And they'll do that. They would do it in that weaselly way where they would be like, We're not really sure,
But can we
but
chance it?
there is some suggestion.
When
but yeah.
Israel and Ukraine both are proving right now in these last two wars that you don't need nukes anymore. That's the most thing. Like, I mean, obviously nukes are bad, right? I'm not downplaying the idea of a nuke. One nuke goes off, the whole world is done. That's it. America's policy on nuclear war is just mutual assured destruction. It's ambiguous and it's scary and it's designed to be. And pretty much a lot of other countries go, not unless someone shoots them first. But when you have all these countries that have nukes, I don't think anyone is like, unless like shit really hits the fan, there probably isn't going to be nukes sent. And that's evidenced by the fact, or not evidence, but like, because the whole like scope of warfare is changing. And the evidence of that is, look how Israel is doing Iran and look how Ukraine is doing Russia. You don't need nukes to destabilize and kneecap another country and just mutually assure your destruction.
You mean how Russia is doing Ukraine?
No. Ukraine doing Russia with like the drones. Ukraine just literally kneecapped their entire like capability of bringing missiles and stuff to Ukraine with bombers and stuff because with drones just in cargo carriers.
Yeah, for a minute.
Israel did, for a minute, but then you just do it again. You find a different way to do it. It's just with the drones and the technology now, warfare is going to be a lot different. It's not going to be just a bunch of people in the trenches. It's going to be just bombing strategic play. It's going to go back to war of attrition because of the fact that everyone has nukes and the technology has changed. It's all war of attrition again. It's all like, and it's interesting, right? Like war is being like, there is another like filter that disassociates the average person from war, because if a draft actually happened, me, like, like you or I, and then we all get cards or whatever, like we'd probably just be flying drones. We wouldn't be in the trenches.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, there's a draft for anything that we've done in the past 30. I'm going to prison. Send me to prison. I will not go fight.
Or give me a Boston Dynamics dog.
There is absolutely no way. Unless we are actually in a defensive war, not a chance.
Yeah, if there's soldiers coming onto my homeland, like if there's soldiers walking down my street and they're like trying to like take my shit, then yeah, I'm gonna go out fighting. I'm gonna grab my rifle and.
Have you noticed how they do this thing where they try to, and by they I mean the neocons, both in the United States and in Israel, the war hawks, whatever pejorative you want to throw their way. They do this thing where they launch an offensive war and they act like it's defense, and we all know it's bullshit. More and more people know that it's bullshit. And the whole thing behind this is, or at least the way it's being portrayed, is Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. And then you ask, okay, everybody else does. Why? And their only answer is always
because they might use it.
Because they might use it. And all you have to do is point to Pakistan and India, something that I guarantee you less than 1% of the American population even knows anything about. And most of those people are probably from India or Pakistan. And they just actually had a pretty nasty skirmish. I don't know if you want to call it a war, but it was a skirmish. Conflict.
Yeah, skirmish.
That could have gotten out of hand. Guess what they both have?
Nukes.
They both have nukes. Now, another point that I've seen made is, well, what if the Iranians get a nuke, and let's say the Ayatollahs now they don't use it, but what happens when another regime that's more deadly and more dangerous takes over, and they have, and now they have the nukes in their hands instead? And it's like, you don't think that by trying to eliminate the current regime and causing a power vacuum right now in Iran based on the weapons technology that they have, as we've seen with Syria, as we've seen with Iraq, as we've seen the other 4 or 5 of the 7 nations in 5 years, you don't think that's also a problem? I mean, at best, that's not also a problem. They might use it as not a good enough excuse for me. Because it is, especially now, mutually assured destruction, no matter what you do. As you pointed out, Corey, these nukes that we have now, this isn't fucking Hiroshima and Nagasaki. These bombs are 100 times more powerful, 1,000 times more powerful. I don't know what the number is.
Probably like 1,000.
The nuclear fallout from one bomb is going to end civilization, at least civilization, if not the human race as we know it. Everybody knows that.
Right. It goes back to Einstein or whatever when he said, like, I don't know what the World War III weapons will be that are fought, but I know the one after that's going to be with sticks and stones.
100%. He's absolutely right. He was right then, and he's just as right today as he was back then.
So you're saying to me, Dan, that because everyone has nukes,
It means no worries.
Dude, it's just nonsense because it's the same talking points from 2002, 2003. We know what this is actually about. We know that this is because the Israeli regime doesn't know how to play nice with its neighbors. And that's the other thing that Iran hates us. Why are you defending Iran? Nothing I've said, nothing that most smart people that are against this conflict, nobody's defended Iran. Nobody's defended that regime. But they go, well, they hate us, and they hate Israel, and they hate Jews. And it's like, okay, why? Why do they hate us? Why do they hate Israel? Because we're free? Is that the next one? Is they hate us because we're free? The other 2002 to 2013 line about to be the next thing that comes out? It can't possibly be that we upended a democratically elected regime and put in a dictator in their place. It's another thing that Americans don't seem to understand. I'm not going to say we as in you and I and the people of the United States, but our government loves dictators. Why do we love dictators? It's very simple.
They're easy to control.
They're easy to control is the first reason. But the other reason is, even when they do get a little bit out of line, they're usually isolated, so you can just overthrow them and put in the next one. They're easy to control. All you got to do is hand them some money, hand them some weapons, and they'll do whatever the hell you want. Now, there are a couple of examples of them getting a little bit too big for the United States to do anything about. But I'm talking to you, Saudi Arabia. But Saudi Arabia is still an ally. So it's all good, at least for now. But it's because Israel is in the same spot. They don't have a problem with dictators so long as they can control those dictators around them. It is about control of the region. It's not about defense. It never was about defense. It's never going to be about defense. And Bibi Netanyahu will kill as many Arabs as he possibly as he absolutely has to ensure that he has control and resources over that region. Do you think the Saudis like Israel? No,
probably not.
But they're run by a Sunni regime that makes a lot of money by selling oil to the West. So they're not a problem. They're not an issue, at least not yet. Who knows in 20 years, in 50 years?
Right.
Like these regimes that the Israelis and by proxy the United States want to take out, they're problem children. They can't have nukes. They can't have weapons. In the case of the Houthis in Yemen, you can't have a government. You can't have a government. Why? Because we said you can't have a government.
Right.
Israel said you can't have a government.
You're not allowed to be a sovereign nation.
Nope, not unless the United States and Israel tell you that you're allowed to. And then there is the question, I brought it up for a second a couple of minutes ago, but it's like, what next? What happens when you topple the Iranian regime? Because it very well may happen. I mean, Iran's basically by itself right now for now, and there are actually a couple of ways in which soon they might not be. But what happens? What happens now? Is it the same thing that happened, I mean, just now in Syria when Bashar al-Assad took off to Moscow? fucking place is being run by ISIS. And now we're okay with that. We're okay with that. It's cool. We'll let them see. We'll let them see what happens next. And then Corey, why does ISIS exist?
Because
in the first place.
Because of what is it? Iraq or Syria in the first place? What? No, Yemen. Was it Yemen?
No, it's
my God.
It was the power vacuum in Iraq from toppling Saddam Hussein.
And it's okay, and that right there. Right. Let's go back to that real quick when we talk about American interventionism and how we don't want to see Iran. Again, I keep naming countries wrong, and it's not because I don't know what I'm talking about. It's because there are just so many goddamn countries that America has overthrown, and we've seen this happen our entire lives. Syria, Yemen, Iraq, Afghanistan. Like
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence.
And America might not be
what
the
he said either.
proprietor of these regimes being toppled, but they play a major fucking hand in it. Oh yeah, add Libya to that. I forgot about that one. And then everyone's like, "Well, I don't understand why you don't think that we should go after Iran." Because we've seen this playbook before. We've seen this happen constantly. It's just
What year is it?
Because we've been like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm sorry I got the countries wrong. It's because I can't keep track. And now we're about to do it again with Iran, and everyone's just like, yeah, but this time, man, they got it right this time.
And I'm astounded at the amount of people that are falling for this. I am really, really happy that it appears to be less. I don't think this is going to. But I really don't know where the chips are going to fall.
Right, and to be fair to Donald Trump, it's June 18th, 2025, 8:47 p.m. Israel has been bombing Iran now for what, 5 days, 6 days? They've been going tit for tat. America, you keep hearing all these different officials slip and go, yeah, no, we're stopping them from hitting Israel. And then when they say, who's stopping them from hitting Israel? Israel is stopping them from hitting Israel.
Yeah, they keep saying, Ted Cruz makes that mistake in the Tucker,
like 5 different times. But he's not the only one. A bunch of them are on the left and the right. And so.
Oh, shit, buddy. I got to dig a little deeper.
But as of right now, Trump hasn't done anything actionable without. I mean, obviously he's making a bunch of bluster on his little Truth Social and making all these outlandish claims and stuff like that. But America hasn't done anything other than defensive measures. So as of this moment, you and I are under the impression it's inevitable. They're going to Iran, and they probably are. It's sickening. It's gross. America's going to drink the Kool-Aid. We're going to fall for it. But as of yet, we haven't.
By the way.
So it's still in limbo, but it's a limbo that I don't want to be in. Imagine playing limbo where if you fall, you're falling on a bunch of fucking rest stop rest stop syringes, like a highway rest stop. Imagine you collected all the fucking syringes from all the rest stops in America and threw them in a bin, and you had to put limbo over them. I don't want to play that game. And
I'm not even going to pretend like I reacted any differently. I was at a child's birthday party on Thursday evening when this news started to drop about Israel bombing Iran. Dude, I got red-faced. I genuinely got pissed. I was so mad. I had to step inside for a minute because I'm at a child's birthday party. I don't want people to be like, what's going on? I'm just and I came outside and I had the the sort of I mean, not that we couldn't still get there, but I did have like the overreactionary thought of like, fuck, Israel just started World War III. Like that was my first thought. And that might still be the case. It might. I hope not.
Yeah.
I do want to say this though. I don't mean to toot my own horn. But did I not say on an episode maybe
that we were definitely
4
that
months ago
Israel was going to attack Iran? Yeah.
That I think I said specifically we're going to war with Iran. I don't know when it's going to be. I didn't want to be right about that, and I'm not right yet. Let's face it. Yes, I am. I mean, yes, I am. Because at best, it's the same thing that we're doing in Ukraine. Like that's the best case scenario.
Yeah, I just want to leave out the caveat that Trump hasn't done it yet, but you and I both think that it's going to happen. I hope we're wrong, Dan. Dan, I hope we're so fucking wrong. I hope
Very
that we
successful, very rich.
I hope that we're on our fucking, like we have egg on our face, you know, because we're over
Donald
here saying
Trump is a bad guy. He's a bad person.
But like, hopefully it doesn't happen, and it's just, you know, it's just.
I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't.
Oh, I will. You know what? I can point out something that I was wrong about. What's going on? Oh, is the storm coming? We might lose power, ladies and gentlemen. Just so everybody knows, we have some nasty weather in the area right now. Something that I was wrong about. I think a few episodes ago, I said that the child birth rate was conservative climate change.
No,
I'm gonna say I was half wrong. I'm gonna say I was half wrong because I still think that that's the case for tradcons. But man, when it comes to neocons, it is absolutely neoconservative climate change is Iran getting a nuclear weapon. Because who the hell tweeted this out? Was it redheaded libertarian? It was redheaded libertarian. You can see it lined up from 1970 to like 2000 about all the climate change claims. Things like decaying pollution will kill all the fish.
Up Iran getting a nuclear weapon to the same time span.
Almost the same time span, just like 20 years later, because the first one they have for Iran getting a nuclear weapon is 1992. We did. Glenn Greenwald seems to think it could go back as far as 1984, but it's 1992 all the way up to 2024. It's Iran and is 3 to 5 years away from nuclear capability. 1993, Iran pursuing nuclear weapons, close to capability. 1995, Iran 3 to 5 years from nuclear capability. 1996, Iran's nuclear acquisition could be catastrophic. Deadline extremely close. Then it skips a little bit. It goes to 2003. Iran's nuclear program a global threat. 2004, Iran aggressively pursuing nuclear weapons. 2005, Iran's nuclear ambitions must be stopped. 2006, Iran could have a nuclear bomb soon. 2007, Iran racing to develop nuclear weapons. 2008, Iran's nuclear program nearing completion. 2009, Iran 1 to 2 years away from nuclear capability. 2010, Iran could produce a bomb within a year. 2011, Iran steadily moving toward nuclear weapons. 2012, Iran months away will complete enrichment by spring/summer of 2013. Then in 2013, Iran continuing nuclear weapons program. And then it skips a little bit, goes to 2021, Iran closer than ever to nuclear weapons. 2022, Iran weeks away from nuclear breakout. 2023, Iran advancing nuclear enrichment. And finally, 2024, Iran dangerously close to a nuclear bomb. Does that not sound a lot like 1970, decaying pollution will kill all the fish? 1970, America subject to water rationing by 1974 and food rationing by 1980. 1974, space satellites show ice age coming fast. 1980, acid rain kills life in lakes. 1988, temperatures in D.C. will hit record highs. 1996, peak oil in 2020. 2000, children won't know what snow is. 2005, Manhattan underwater by 2015. It's not. 2006, super hurricanes, which that was Hurricane Katrina. 2008, Arctic will be ice-free by 2018. It's not. 2008, climate genius Al Gore predicts ice-free Arctic by 2013. Wrong. I mean, you see what I'm saying, though? I could go on forever.
Yeah.
But it is an absolute, like, almost one-to-one comparison. What's the thing that's scary? How do we get you to vote for us? By telling you what the scary thing is so that we can stop it. You got to vote for us so we can stop it. You want to know another interesting thing about this, Corey?
Tell me another interesting thing about this, Dan.
How many Democrats have you heard come out against this war?
Not very many. I know John Fetterman is like very aggressively pro it.
Yep, there's been a couple. I think Tim Kaine was one of them. There's been a few.
Bernie, obviously, always Bernie.
Yep, Bernie, of course, Bernie. There's been a few.
AOC probably said something. I would put money in that she did without knowing.
And obviously Rashida Tlaib, and Ilhan Omar, I'm sure, but
Schumer didn't.
That's the whole point. They hate everything Trump does. Like, this is how
except
you know
war.
Exactly. This is how you know when we sit here on the show week after week and tell you that these parties are exactly the fucking same. The stuff that matters, they love together. Doesn't matter who the president is. The president could literally be Pol Pot. If he started a war, everybody would be on board with it. And you have people, including Dave Smith, to his credit, coming out saying that Trump should be impeached over this. And, like, I don't necessarily disagree, but I'm also a realist, and I think Dave is too. But that's not the reason that he'll get impeached. He won't get impeached for being
it's so
for
shitty,
contributing.
right? Because if
he won't get this is my last part of this thought, Corey. He won't get impeached for at best enabling war crimes. And at worst, contributing to them. He won't get impeached for something like that. Instead, he'll get impeached because he paid a stripper for a blowjob in 2007 or something. Like, that's what he'll get impeached for. Because these two idiotic parties, they differ on the margins, the shit that doesn't matter, the shit that gets you to argue with your next door neighbor. But, man, when it comes to things like war and the economy, they're pretty much right with each other. The things that matter. It's so obvious. I don't know if you already forgot your thought, but
what thought?
That's what I thought. Okay, on we go. Let's discuss ways in which this could become a global war. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Strait of Hormuz, Corey.
The Strait of Hormuz is where Iran moves all of its oil through, or most of the Middle East, I believe, moves other oil through. And
right
now, when it comes to Iran's oil itself, that doesn't necessarily, because of the sanctions and everything America has, it doesn't affect America. But you know who it does affect? China and Russia.
You know how much of China's oil imports go through the Straits of Hormuz?
Probably, like, I want to say probably 50% conservatively.
You're close. 45%. So you could see a scenario where China's like, our oil's getting real expensive. Decides to get themselves.
But see, that's
conflict.
America protectionism. Like that's just the thing, right? Like everyone forgets to talk about the third, fourth, and fifth consequences. We sanction Iran, so Iran can't sell their oil to the world. So they have all of this excess oil, so they have to sell it. They can only sell it to one or two people who are going to say fuck America's sanctions, and that's China and Russia. So now China and Russia are getting oil super fucking cheap. And now we're fucking with that. So now they're going to be more pissed. And then everyone's like, I don't understand why they're so upset. And it's like the whole world doesn't revolve around America.
And is that an excuse now for the biggest fear on earth from about 2 years ago? When is China going to invade Taiwan?
I don't know if they will.
Kind of seems like you might be giving them an excuse to do it, though.
Yeah, but I feel like that would be a failure. I don't know. I still don't think like everyone says like, well, now China has the largest navy in the world, and it's like half their ships aren't ship. You know, like
Yeah,
it's
but
like
without
fishing vessels and stuff.
Well, when you're kind of putting the pressure on Trump too. You got to defend Taiwan, you got to defend Israel, and now you're coming in.
And we're still defending
money
Ukraine. Don't forget. Is
Yeah,
that what
exactly.
is it World War right now? It's just through proxies.
well,
Because that was
no,
something I was thinking of here. Because this is something I was thinking about the other day. You now have Russia completely entangled in their own little version of a new Afghanistan. It's just against white people instead of brown people. And then you have the other axis of the evils, right? You know, like according to American propaganda, Iran, North Korea, China, Russia. You know what I mean? And Iran just got completely kneecapped. Russia's entangled in that shit. And then China, with all of their resources of everything that they're outsourcing, like even though they have a big, large industrial base, a lot of like the shit that is supporting that industrial base is outsourced, whether it's food from America or oil from Iran, you know, a lot of intellectual property from America. A lot of this stuff is outsourced. And most of those countries don't have like the logistical capabilities that America has to just move around and be nimble in the entire world. And it almost seems like this is all by design, that like Iran is like is, you know what I mean? Like it's tinfoil hat on, obviously, but we got these two little proxy wars going on now, just chipping away at like the bigger picture of like the bigger power is against us, because Iran has been buying shit like defensively and stuff from Russia, and it's obviously not doing that great. It makes Russia look not that great. It's going to make, and then on top of that, Russia just recently, there's a memo from their internal like intelligence agency that got leaked that they think China is an enemy. That is a super shaky fucking relationship. Like it's these little things, like on the grand scheme of the geopolitical spectrum, like picture, is destabilizing some of the other superpowers.
Yeah, but you know what? Another historical, really shaky relationship was? The United States, Great Britain, and the Soviet Union.
Yeah, but that was only over a scheme, and it fell apart, right? Yeah.
After they won the war.
After they won the war, but it was only like a 3 or 4 year relationship.
Well, isn't all that? Because so I think you might have a little bit too much faith in the United States' military capabilities right now. It is not 2003 anymore.
Not necessarily the military capabilities, the geopolitical relationships and things like that.
I can tell you right now, we do not have the ability to fight a global war right now. I can promise you that's true. And
all of our allies are really, really weak as well.
Yes.
But it wouldn't be like America is so isolated. It wouldn't be like, I feel like it would be something like America would shore up everything. We'd probably, because it'd just be like, I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like we would like probably shore up our borders, keep a blockade of naval vessels on the coasts, and then just use our air superiority to attack everything.
Interesting point, Corey. Are you suggesting that the people in power could be trying to manufacture consent for something?
Maybe. Probably. But that's how I see it going down, just because like
it's amazing how it comes full circle.
It would all be airstrikes. It'd be what Israel and Iran are doing to each other right now. It'd be the majority of what Russia and Ukraine are doing to each other right now. Drone strikes, missile strikes. It would, it wouldn't be as much hand-to-hand combat on the ground. It would be a war of attrition through taking out each other's supply lines, industrial capabilities,
killing their civilians in the process.
Yeah. That's why Michigan is being positioned to have one of the actual, like one of the first Iron Domes. There's the Golden Iron Dome that Trump wants to put in America.
That won't work.
Michigan is one of the first places they want to do it at because we have a huge industrial complex here.
And those dirty commie Canadians might come after us pretty soon.
Like, we can make anything we want it here. Michigan is one of the only states in the United States, like other than like California and Texas, maybe Florida, that could be 100% self-sufficient.
Well, we don't have oil.
We got there's some like oil and stuff here. There's natural gas, things like that. Like
a little bit of oil. We don't have enough oil. I don't even think we have enough oil to sustain our own population if we wanted to. Yep, that's me cracking another beer. Shall we get to Ted Cruz and Tucker?
Oh boy!
If you want to know,
you give the prelude. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, sure. If you want to know why your politicians suck, Ted Cruz did a masterful job of demonstrating that while talking to Tucker Carlson. And a few things I want to say about this interview. The number one thing is this. I don't care how you feel about Tucker Carlson. I don't care if you're his biggest fan or his biggest hater. Because I'm going to promise you this. Correct me if I'm wrong through your own speakers if you would like to. If you don't like Tucker Carlson, chances are you probably don't like Ted Cruz either. And if that's the case, you have to see this interview between Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson, because this was actually, honestly, and even Michael Tracy threw this out there, and I don't know if Michael Tracy likes Tucker or not. I'm not familiar enough with Michael's feelings on Tucker Carlson, but he pointed out that this was what a journalistic interview is supposed to look like. Tucker was combative in all of the right ways with Ted Cruz. He didn't just ask the tough question, but then fail to ask the tough follow-up. Because that's what I feel like we see in a lot of these quote-unquote tough, hard-hitting interviews that you might see on a Hannity or a Jake Tapper. They'll ask like the tough question that was fed to them by their research team, but they'll get the answer. They'll get a bullshit answer, and they won't follow it up. Tucker does. He's not perfect. I don't think there's a such thing as a perfect interview. There are some things that I wish Tucker had touched on while questioning Ted Cruz. But he ultimately did a pretty good job. And when Ted Cruz tried to pull the ad hominem attacks on Tucker Carlson, when he tried to do the Mark Levin thing where he just calls him a kook because he can't actually engage with his argument, Tucker calls him out on that. I don't think you get a lot of that from most other people conducting these style of interviews. It was 2 hours long. I think every minute is worth it. What's the first one that I had up there, Bell? Was it? It was the one where he talks to Fox News first. Because this kind of sets it up. This was an interview. I don't remember when this was, but this was a few days prior to Ted Cruz talking to Tucker. And it sets up a lot of what Tucker talks to Ted Cruz about in his interview, which is Ted Cruz immediately calling for regime change just days after the entire monologue was about, this is about defense. This is about defense. We just have to stop Iran from getting a nuke. There's nothing about regime change. And if you remember, Corey, since you're back, that was the deal with Iraq too. It wasn't, it was about making sure that Saddam didn't launch weapons of mass destruction. And then once the invasion started, then it was about not just getting rid of Saddam, but getting rid of all of his underlings and completely turning over the regime. So it always starts.
And then it came to freedom.
Right. It came out to it was nation building. Now, to Ted Cruz's credit, he doesn't have any interest in nation building, or at least so he says. But then when Tucker calls him out on, Well, basically, so like, what are we supposed to do? We go take out their regime and then just whatever happens, happens?
Because that's how you end up with Syria.
Well, Ted Cruz would be fine with that. He likes ISIS now.
Or Libya.
Go ahead and roll this first one, Bell. This was Ted Cruz on, I don't remember who this lady is, but talking to one of the Fox News hosts.
Do you want to see regime change? Do you think that happens soon? And what would the future look like in that regard?
Look, I think it is very much in the interest of America to see regime change. I don't think there's any redeeming the Ayatollah. He is filled with hatred. You know, I'll tell you a story that's a little bit amazing. The former head of the Iranian nuclear program, a man whom many say was sent to meet his maker by the Mossad, the Israeli intelligence forces. He had written in his last will and testament that he wanted the following words written on his tombstone. Here lies a man who sought to annihilate Israel. Maria, think of the level of bilious hate. When that's the only thing you want to be remembered for is I am such a bigot, such an anti-Semite, filled with so much hate that the entire purpose of my life is to murder as many Jews as possible. That's what we're dealing with, religious fanatics. So it is unquestionably in America's interest to see a secular regime. You know, before the revolution, Iran was a secular country that was an ally of America. I think the people want to go back to that.
And we want to.
So this is another thing that people like Ted Cruz always do. They get on these talking head shows, and you pointed out earlier, Corey, that when they go on these talking head shows, they're not under oath. They could just spew whatever bullshit they want to spew. And they always do this thing where they get you riled up and they go, these people are so hateful and they want to murder all the Jews and they want to murder all the Americans. And then the question that never gets asked, and this is actually one of the questions I wish Tucker had done a better job of in his interview with Ted Cruz, was nobody ever asks why. I think I brought this up at the beginning of the show. Nobody ever asks why they hate us. And it used to be, as we talked about earlier in the show, that they hate us for our freedom. But the thing that's never followed up with is the actual explanation for why they hate us. Nobody ever does that follow-up, including Tucker. And Tucker knows.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because I was listening while I was relieving myself about how you said it. What's really funny about Tucker destroying Ted Cruz is the fact that, like, if you don't like Tucker Carlson, you probably don't like Ted Cruz either.
I would imagine.
A listener, Rocky Winter, goes, aren't they on the same side? Why is Tucker destroying Cruz?
The simple answer is that Tucker has grown up a little bit. And he even admits this in the interview, because what I like about this interview a lot is that, like, Tucker allows Ted Cruz to ask him questions as well. It's not just like this hard, it's more of a conversation. It's in that sort of Joe Rogan style of we're having a chat here. It's not me just pounding you with questions for an hour. You can ask me things too, because Tucker's a person. We've talked about this as a reason why people like Joe Rogan's show. He's a person. And Tucker, to his credit, and I have vehement disagreements with Tucker. You do too, Corey. I think Bell does as well. The thing that I give Tucker so much credit for, and he admits it in the interview, is he doesn't have a problem changing his views as the facts change. And that's kind of one of the things that he points out to Ted Cruz is, like, you fucking politicians are more worried about keeping the narrative alive than you are about the facts on the ground. You will find a way to hopscotch your way around reality to make it make sense in your own head that whatever the original view that you had was. And here's the thing, dude. You know this too, Corey. It's not just politicians. People do this shit every day. I mean, whether you're arguing about Iran or you're arguing about, like, trans rights, on social media or even face to face, belly to belly with a friend of yours. People really, really, really don't like when their worldviews are flipped upside down. And that's why I have more respect. I have so much more respect for a human being that can come to terms with the fact that their worldviews are incorrect and make changes. You know, you're called a flip-flopper for that or whatever it is in the political
So
game.
Tucker actually said something that I thought was interesting when you talk about being like a flip-flopper, because Ted Cruz is trying to call him out, and he goes, "No, I've never claimed to be consistent." He goes, "I'm not consistent. I'm sincere."
Right. And that's, again, why do you think people like Tucker Carlson or Joe Rogan or
Dude, and it's just it's so wild to like when people double down on like not being wrong, to where it's like we've been wrong on our show quite often. And it's so like liberating to where it's like, oh yeah, no, I
got that one wrong.
I got that really wrong. I think it adds credibility to your next opinion when someone says they got something wrong.
Or if you see something like
if you keep something, something.
No, we've made the mistake on this show multiple times of like trying to break down something that we don't really actually understand that well, or at least not well enough to be talking about it in depth. But we do it anyway, because what's the difference?
Right.
People hear it, they tell us why we're wrong, we look into it. Oh shit, yeah, we got that shit wrong. It's like, why is it such a big deal to be wrong?
We're not arbiters of truth, but we don't claim to be.
Why is it so difficult for people to just be wrong about something? They'd rather win an argument than they would be right. What's the first video we have, Bell, of is it the one where about how Ted Cruz knows nothing about Iran?
That was actually the trailer.
That was
go ahead and pull that one up, Bell. That was like basically the trailer for the podcast when he was talking.
Oh man. And it was just as funny on the full interview.
No, it had the context. I thought it was funnier.
The first time it showed. Yeah, you're right. It probably even was a little bit funnier. This is okay. So before Bell plays this, I'll go back to, if you hate Tucker Carlson, chances are you probably hate Ted Cruz as well. And that's why you should watch this. This is why. Go ahead, Bell. He's trying.
How many people live in Iran, by the way? I don't know the population at all. No, I don't know the population. You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple? How many people live in Iran? 92 million. Okay. How could you not know that? I don't sit around memorizing population tables. Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government. Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant? Because if you don't know anything about the country... I didn't say I don't know anything about the country. What's the ethnic mix of Iran? They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay, it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran. You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government. You're the one who claims anything about the country. No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims you're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the one who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad. They're trying to murder Trump. Yes, I do. Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that, we're carrying out military strikes today. You said Israel was right with our help.
Oh,
I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them. Well, you're breaking news here, because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity. We're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them. You just said we were. We are supporting Israel. High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
It's fucking love it.
It's just so good. And
yeah,
Ted Cruz is squirming in his seat right now. He is shitting his pants. His cushion is almost as wet as Barry Weiss's cushion when she found out that Iran was being bombed by Israel. Almost as wet. We need some cushion changes around this war, or at least flip it. Be a little bit sanitary.
Yes.
And Tucker's got a point. What's really funny is like Ted Cruz kind of thought he got Tucker back. He tweeted something out. I don't remember if it was today or yesterday before it came out, whatever. But he tweeted out a meme of somebody leaning over and asking like a cartoon Luke Skywalker, "Hey, what's the population of the Death Star?" As if that was like a gotcha against Tucker. But it's like, you want to nerd out on Star Wars here for a second? First of all, this isn't anywhere close to an apples-to-apples comparison because in Star Wars, particularly Episode 4, Luke is nothing more than a
farm boy
soldier.
from Tatooine.
He's nothing
a
more
moisture
than a
farmer.
foot soldier. He's nothing more than a foot soldier. So that would be the equivalent of expecting like Joe Schmo Marine who's about to fucking storm Tehran, whether or not he knows the population of Iran. I don't think anybody actually cares about that. I bet you, by the way, Corey, speaking of Star Wars, I bet you if you asked Admiral Akbar what the population of
he would actually know.
He would know. You telling me he wouldn't fucking know?
Unlike Ted Cruz, because Ted Cruz is the Admiral Akbar.
He's not giving any commands, but it's the same kind
It's
of
a
deal,
trap.
Right? Well, not to mention, you want to compare Israel, Iran to Star Wars again? Okay, so here we go. You're implying that Iran is this all-powerful empire who has taken over the galaxy and hegemonized most of the galaxy. Does that sound more like Iran, or does that sound more like the United States in the West?
Yeah, America has a funny way of constantly propagating standing up, being the little guy, the comeback story, the underdog in our pop culture, but our like actual government is like the empire.
Yeah, and now listen, I'm not saying that makes Iran the rebel alliance, but if we're trying to say which one, Iran or the rest of the world?
No, they kind of are, because the Rebel Alliance is the terrorist group. Like what's that? The fucking Jay and Silent Bob movie, the first one, Clerks, when he's talking about, he's like, I don't know, man. He's like, they were terrorists. They showed up and destroyed this whole fucking space center, and he goes, it wasn't even operational. It wasn't full of a bunch of stormtroopers. It was full of contractors and a bunch of random people that had families that they were there, like on like working essentially on an oil rig.
No, wait. So the Death Star was the nuke, and what the rebels did was the preemptive strike.
pretty much.
Anyway.
It's funny that there's an argument that the rebels were the bad guys.
Yeah,
they're the terrorist attack.
Well, Ted Cruz should think so.
They came in with a bunch of drones.
Ted Cruz should think that the Rebel Alliance was the bad guys.
He absolutely would. No, like, what's the difference between a terrorist and a freedom fighter is U.S. interests.
Yeah, well, yeah. Now, at least as far as the way it's propagated here in the United States,
Dan,
folks, I wish more,
it's always been that way.
Yeah. Well, at least since the end of the Cold War.
The original American army was rebels. We were considered rebels by the king.
Yeah, you mean back when we could claim to be
from the inception of America, rebels and freedom fighters depend on American interest.
Those who win write the history?
No, not even that. Mujahideen was great. They didn't win. I mean, Russia pulled out, but they didn't win.
Right, but they were.
They're not writing any history.
But they were on our side.
Right, they were freedom fighters.
And they did win.
Because it was in the U.S. national interest.
They did win. The Afghanis have always won. Every time anybody's ever tried to invade Afghanistan, they have been pushed back all the way to Alexander the Great.
That is true.
They did win. Because their only goal is to get everybody else the fuck out of their territory. Imagine that.
I know.
What's the next video we got here, Bell? We got Cruz knows nothing about knows nothing about a country he wants to overthrow. That was the one we just played. Next one is this one. Tucker calls out Cruz for having loyalty to a foreign nation. I think that's this one.
Do you think that it's just interesting because what you're now describing in a very defensive way, I will say, is foreign influence over our politics?
No.
And you began, and it's so transparently obvious to everybody. I don't know why you would be embarrassed of it. You've said that you are sincerely for Israel. I believe you. I don't think you have some weird agenda. You seem to be sincere.
By the way, Tucker, it's a very weird thing. The obsession with Israel. We're talking about foreign countries.
Hardly an obsession.
You're not talking about Chinese. You're not talking about Japanese. You're not talking about the Brits. You're not talking about the French. The question, what about the Jews? What about the Jews?
Oh, I'm an anti-Semite now. Senator,
you're asking the question, Tucker. You're asking, why are the Jews controlling our foreign policy?
Senator,
that's what you just asked.
Hardly saying that. And I have
That is exactly what you just said.
Well, actually, I can speak for myself and tell you what I am saying.
Good.
On behalf not simply of myself, but on of my many Jewish friends who would have the same questions, which is to what extent, it's interesting you're trying to derail my questions by calling me an anti-Semite, which you are.
I did not.
Of course you are. And rather than be honorable enough to say it right to my face, you are in a sleazy feline way implying it, or just asking questions about the Jews. I'm not asking questions about the Jews. There's nothing to do with Jews or Judaism. It has to do with the foreign government.
Isn't Israel controlling our foreign policy? That's not about the Jews.
You said, I'm asking you.
And by the way, you're the one that just called me, I think, a sleazy feline. So let's be clear.
It's sleazy to imply that I'm an anti-Semite, which you just did.
No, I just said, why is that the only question you're asking? You answer it. Give me another reason. If you're not an anti-Semite, give me another reason why the obsession is Israel.
I am in no sense obsessed with Israel. We are on the brink of war with Iran. And so these are valid questions.
But you're not asking about Iran or the
If I can finish, you asked me why I'm obsessed with Israel.
Yep.
3 minutes after telling me that when you first ran for Congress, you elucidated one of your main goals, which is to defend Israel.
Yes.
And I'm the one who's obsessed with Israel. I don't see a lawmaker's job as defending the interests of a foreign government, period. Okay. Any government, including the ones that my ancestors come from. So that's my position. That does not make me an anti-Semite. And shame on you for suggesting otherwise. And I mean that.
Shame on you. Dude, like, it's so funny. Like a lot of the comments are like just two straight like beta males who pretend to be like alphas, and then they're just using all this runaround of like not directly insulting each other, but kind of doing a little runaround of like, well, you know, like all this condescending, passive aggressive tones and stuff like that.
That's something that I actually. Because I don't know, especially for those who maybe don't consume Tucker Carlson, or like I said prior to starting this segment, like maybe don't like Tucker Carlson. Tucker and Ted Cruz, I'm not going to say that they're friends per se, but they are very, very close acquaintances, and they're friendly with each other, which almost makes this interview better.
Yeah,
because this is Tucker Carlson calling out somebody multiple times that
in a sleazy feline way.
Dude, you know what, though? Tucker is absolutely right. I will say this. Did Ted Cruz did he say, Tucker, you're an anti-Semite? No, he didn't say that. But he did that Mark Levin thing. He did that fucking Fox News neocon thing where he goes, you're saying that it's the Jews that are the problem, that the Jews have
and Tucker saw it because he is from
nobody knows better than
sphere.
Tucker.
Yeah, he's from that sphere.
Nobody knows better than Tucker, but it's that sleazy move that people play, because what people are calling out with regards to Israel is a government that is making the decision to send its military to destroy things.
Yeah, and it's funny because if you remember, like somewhere within that moment, and I don't know if you have this snippet on there or not, but he's like, why do you feel that way? You know, like Ted Cruz or whatever. He's like, well, I grew up as a Christian, and
we have that one. You can
in
play
the
that
Bible,
one next, Bell.
In the Bible, it
play
says
the one next.
And then in the Bible, it says that the nation, those who bless the nation of Israel will be blessed by God, and those who scorn it will be scorned by God. And he's like, oh, okay. What verse is that? He just and Ted Cruz didn't know, but then Tucker did. Dude, it was
Dude, this is the whole thing.
Fucking hilarious.
No matter how much you disagree with Tucker, and I have my disagreements with him, he's a pretty fucking fascinating guy, and you cannot say that he's not brilliant and that he doesn't know his shit.
Yeah.
Because he does. He does know his shit. It gets a little bit conspiracy.
The most dangerous thing that could ever happen to him was
but...
letting him go rogue by firing him from Fox.
Oh yeah, dude. The writing was on the wall. Because it's funny too, because I saw somebody that I respect so much in the political sphere. I saw Hannah Cox call him out a little bit earlier today. Was it today or yesterday? But she tweeted something out, or I can't remember which social media it was on, but that I saw it. But she called Tucker out because Tucker had called out Fox News. I don't remember who he was doing the interview with. It's kind of all coming back to me, but he was doing an interview with somebody, like he was being interviewed, and he was calling out Fox for its over propagandization or whatever, if that's a word. I don't even care.
And what's also really interesting is like from the left, it's Cuomo who's kind of doing this, and then on the right, it's Tucker.
But Hannah called him out because, it was totally cool when you worked there and you were lining your pockets instead of paying. And it's like, okay, fair enough, but can we give the guy credit for... You could say he was fired. I don't even think Tucker has said he was fired. Has he? I don't know if he said he was fired or if it was just sort of like I don't think he's actually used that word. I could be wrong.
No, I don't fucking know.
After leaving Fox News, being a little bit more transparent and calling out Fox for what they did. And it's not because he's jaded. It's not because he's broke. He made a lot of money at Fox that I'm sure he saved, and he's doing pretty goddamn good on his own. I just think it's like you know what I mean? I think it's really one-sided. It's like but a lot of good came out of Tucker leaving Fox News too.
Well,
you know what I mean?
So the reason why he hasn't said anything about it is probably because he's probably got an NDA. I would say it's probably one of those type of like deals where it's like, just take this money, leave us alone.
Yeah. But it's like, I love Hannah a lot. She's brilliant, but like, I thought that was a really short-sighted comment on her part. But yeah, go ahead and play the Bible one here, Bell. This is
growing up in Sunday school. I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of it, says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my... You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis. But so you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it. And you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker
really
I'm
a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
Hold
on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But hold on, define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
And so is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the descendants
God's
of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
And by the way, it's not run by Benjamin Netanyahu as a dictator. It's a democratic country that elected.
He's the prime minister.
Right.
What?
But just like, America is the country run by Donald Trump. No, actually, the American people elected Donald Trump. The same principle
This is silly. I'm talking about the political entity of modern Israel.
Yes, and that is
You believe
Israel.
That's what God was talking about in Genesis.
I do, but
that country's existed since when?
For thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist and then was recreated just over 70 years ago.
I'm saying, I think most people understand that line in Genesis to refer to the Jewish people, God's chosen people.
That's not what it says.
Okay. Israel, but you don't even know where in the Bible it is.
The thing that's so great about this is it's like, okay, so those who bless Israel will be blessed, right? And he goes on to say, I don't think this was in that clip just now, but he goes on to say that we are biblically commanded to support Israel. So the promised land that Moses died leading the biblical Israelites to is the same as Bibi Netanyahu's Israel?
Right.
A place that
and if you want to get real into
Corey, last point.
Moses never made it to the promised land. It was Joshua.
That's what I said. That Moses died leading is the biblical Israelites to. He didn't. He never made it there.
You know your Old Testament there, bud.
I know a little bit. I might know a little bit more than Ted Cruz, apparently. But this is a place that you can't even point to on a map. Like, you can't go, where's the promised land of Israel on a globe today? Nobody knows. So the land of Israel could be a little bit further north. I know we have a general idea of where that place, of where biblical Israel was. We don't fucking know.
Yeah, no, the Israel that stands today was basically just put together by the dying empire of Great Britain.
It's so, like, that's almost scary. Like, when people talk about, like, Handmaid's Tale shit and, like, theocratic Christians taking over the United States, it's statements like that are like, ew. I kind of get what they were talking about.
And it's so funny because the Jews don't believe in because the Jewish people, like, or the, in general, Jewish people or Israel and the religion, like the theocracy that it coincides with their government. They believe that the Messiah hasn't come yet. So, like, and they don't really believe in a heaven or a hell. So they're just like, yeah, no, it's fine. Let the Christians think that helping us will bring their resurrection or their revelations on or whatever. We don't give a fuck. Because they don't fucking believe it. They don't believe.
Corey, are you saying that the Jews are using Christians?
They might be a little bit.
No, the government of Israel is using Christians.
I know.
That's the difference. That's the difference. What's the next one we got here, Bill? Loyalty to a foreign nation. We did that one already. There's only one left, right? Carlson points out that Cruz's recent... Oh, he points out all of Cruz's recent foreign policy blunders. Because Ted Cruz was dumb enough to ask somebody like Tucker Carlson, what foreign policy did I have a hand in that failed?
Yeah.
They're talking about the Nord Stream pipeline.
You're watching two people that we don't necessarily agree with one with a very wise, or not even necessarily wise, but very high IQ, and then someone who has an IQ similar to us. Because Tucker would do the same thing to you or I.
Oh, 100%.
It's just really funny to me.
I like the look on Tucker's face right there.
There's a point where, like, yeah, go ahead and play it.
I think he's trying.
And I see an unending string of foreign policy disasters that have impoverished and hurt our country.
Unending string.
An unending string. They would include Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Syria, and our inability to stop the Houthis, by the way, in Yemen, which exposes us as weak, and I grieve over that. So these are failures. You helped preside over some of them as a member of the Senate.
What failures, foreign policy failures, have I presided over?
Well, we were unable to beat Russia in the war that you supported against Russia. You've been spending the last 3 years telling us that Vladimir Putin is evil and we're going to beat him with other people's children, and 1 million of those kids are now dead. You've never apologized for that. That was a full failure.
By the way, look, the level of number of falsehoods you lay out just in one statement are rather.
You haven't supported the war
against falsehoods.
Russia?
Are rather stunning. So the war against Russia was caused,
right over that question,
which I have explained in great detail, by Joe Biden's weakness.
But you supported the war.
If you want to talk, we can talk Russia and Ukraine. I'm happy to talk about it.
Do you think that's been a success?
No, it's been an absolute disaster.
Okay, but you supported it. Shouldn't you apologize?
No, you should apologize. I'm not going to engage in the demanding of apologies. So I'm like,
that's my point. Is all these failures and no one ever says I'm sorry.
Matter, or do you just throw out if you want to talk, we can talk.
Okay, I do. I want to know why that seems like a true disaster for the United States.
You see how Ted Cruz just jumps over
the question.
Everything he just says that it's false. The number of falsehoods. This is what these people do, man. They do.
He's like, yeah. The Tucker's basically saying, like, dude, you have no like credible weight. Like, you were a part of the same fucking little coalition of government that was like Ukraine, Russia, like a most recent example. And then like then he just names off Libya, Syria, all these other countries of like, it's kind of the same playbook of what we're saying about Iran now that we said about all these other countries. Like, what's the deal?
Yeah, that
they're all falsehoods, Dan.
The idea that Putin's gonna reconstitute the USSR. We know already that that's bullshit.
It's bullshit. Is he trying to you could use the word exploit and extrapolate on like his political prowess or power, or doing what he can to try to secure his own personal interests for his country? Yes.
And access to the Black Sea, and what Putin sees as liberating ethnic Russians from Nazis in eastern Ukraine. And we can have a debate about whether or not that's true, but it's interesting how people like Ted Cruz and others like him will always say, you know, like when the Ayatollah of Iran says that he wants to destroy the Jews and the United States, you have to believe when they say that. But when Putin says, no, I just want to liberate ethnic Russians from Nazis and have access to the Black Sea, we're not supposed to believe that. It's interesting, isn't it? It's based on like which side you have been propagandized to believe.
Yeah.
I don't know. The foreign policy blunders one was probably my favorite part of this interview, because it brings up the point of, here's all of the ways that you fucked up in the past, not to mention all of the ways and the exact same playbook that you're utilizing to perpetuate this war with Iran. But we're supposed to believe you now. It's that politician thing of, man, this time we're going to get it right. It's the same thing. It's like what the Democrats do over abortion. Like, oh, man, we're going to codify Roe v. Wade this time. I promise. You just got to vote for us.
And if you even question it, you want women to be murdered.
That's right. That's the other side of it.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
And the other part that I found interesting about that was, I think we talked a little bit earlier in the episode about how it kind of all depends on when you think history started. So Ted Cruz says that the war between Russia and Ukraine started because of Joe Biden's weakness. Now, I would agree with Ted Cruz that the actual physical invasion was the fault of Joe Biden. However, the reasons for why Putin felt that the invasion was necessary
started back in 2014.
Joe Biden being involved in that, Victoria Nuland being involved in that, the United States needing to have a pro-Western regime in Ukraine. I can't imagine why Putin would have a problem with that. And Tucker points out, like, he goes back to when the Russians were kicked out of SWIFT, when they were taken out of the global monetary trade. I can't imagine why Vladimir Putin would be pissed. That's the whole thing, is like, whether it's Vladimir Putin or whether it's Iran, they can be awful, evil regimes, and you can also understand the reasons why they would be, like, legitimate reasons why they would be pissed off at the West. Like, Ted Cruz is just another one of these people that just, he probably understands it, but he's a politician, so he doesn't care. But the idea that two things can be true at the same time, it's not always this and that, this or that, up or down, left or right, blue or red. But Ted Cruz is a politician. He can't ever admit or cop to anything like that. Like, Ted Cruz is brilliant in a politician's way.
Yeah.
But he's a moron in every other way.
It's on display here. You know, it's pretty on display of, like, who in this little scenario, who was actually the smarter person in the room. And me calling Ted Cruz or Tucker Carlson smart doesn't necessarily mean I agree with him. I can agree with people who I think are smarter than me, and I can disagree with people who I think are smarter than me.
Ask yourself this question: who do you, after watching this interview, and you and I both watched all, I don't know if you watched all 2 hours. I did. So, I mean, just a matter of respect. Like, who do you have more respect for after watching this interview? It's Tucker Carlson.
Yeah,
it's not close.
Especially when it comes to the idea of just geopolitics and just foreign intervention or American intervention and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how does somebody like Tucker Carlson,
like, just questioning it turns you into an isolationist? It turns you into an anti-Semite. It turns you into, like, a plethora of other crazy ass fucking, like, the sly, passive aggressive insults that, like, two elitists would call each other.
And Tucker was very offended by a few of those. And rightfully so. I don't look at Tucker Carlson as an anti-Semite because he doesn't like the fact that Ted Cruz is it's at least as loyal to, best case scenario, at least as loyal to Israel as he is to the United States. And Ted Cruz takes offense to that, but Ted Cruz takes offense to that for very different reasons than Tucker Carlson takes offense to the things that Ted Cruz said. Ted Cruz takes offense to that because somewhere deep down in his black fucking heart, he knows Tucker's right.
But he can't admit it because he has an election coming up soon.
At some point, yeah. You can't... People get defensive. Like, and you can tell the way in which Ted Cruz gets defensive and the way that Tucker Carlson gets defensive are very, very different. Like, Tucker Carlson is, like, genuinely hurt by the things that Ted Cruz was saying to him. The insults that he was throwing his way. And Ted Cruz gets defensive because he has no retort. And he knows Tucker's right. Like, I think it's fine to get defensive when somebody's insulting you.
Or claiming that you're something that you're not.
Right, yeah. I mean, which you could take as an insult. And it's a very different thing to get defensive when somebody is spouting a fact about you or about something that you support and you get defensive. Those two things are not created equal. And it's amazing to me. It's actually not amazing because it's not actually that surprising. The amount of pro-Israel neocons that think Ted Cruz did a great job in this interview.
Oh, I know. I saw there's like comments where it's like, wow, I can't believe you talked to a U.S. senator like that.
Oh, okay.
I know. It's like,
what
get
if
the fuck out of here.
What if that was I know she's not a senator, but what if that were Rashida Tlaib or Ilhan Omar? I know they're reps and they're not senators, but
Or Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer.
Sure. Okay. We'll go Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer. Would you be saying the same thing? No.
Absolutely not. It's just people are so blinded by their fucking political ideologies. That's just mind-boggling to me.
Their emotions. Do we want to get to your TikToks?
Yeah, I got some TikToks for you.
Oh boy. Oh boy. They probably all have to do with Iran, don't they?
Some do, some don't. So what I find interesting is Matt Gaetz is another one of the ones that where it's like the Tucker Carlson, the Ted Cruz, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, where it's like you could listen to the hundreds of other episodes of our show, and you hear us clearly talking shit about these people. But right now we're in this, like, I don't want to say uncomfortable territory, but it's very new. And I try to replace anxiety with excitement, because for some reason, like in our society, a lot of people, like when people get excited, they're misconstruing excitement with anxiety. I feel like a lot of people do that. And there's this weird excitement and this weird, like, what the fuck is this? This is not uncomfortable, but this is all new territory for me, because like I'm actually agreeing with these fucking people. So here's
how did we get to a place where people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Steve Bannon are
and
the
Matt
sane
Gaetz
ones?
and Tucker Carlson are making sense.
Well, I will say this about Marjorie Taylor Greene too, because this is actually kind of important. So she's thrown out numerous tweets since Israel attacked Iran, and everything that she is saying about these conflicts, I mean, she throws some weird culture war shit in there too, but I just ignore that, is absolutely accurate about why this is a bad fucking idea. The only thing I will call her out on, and this is what makes somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene fucking infuriating, there's one thing she will not mention when she calls out how bad this war is. What do you think that thing is?
Trump.
She will not call out Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing where I'm like, baby girl, you almost have it.
You're so close.
Like her opinions on this are almost like how she physically looks. She's got a great body, but man, when you get above that neck, woof.
So go ahead and play this one, Bell.
I'm old enough to remember the last time Israel coaxed the United States into a regime change war in the Middle East. Listen to now Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu tell us in 2002 that invading Iraq would be a good choice.
It's not a question of whether Iraq's regime should be taken out, but when should it be taken out? I think the choice of Iraq is a good choice. It's the right choice.
No, actually, it was a terrible decision to invade Iraq. A terrible decision, and history doesn't exactly vindicate Netanyahu's claims by comparison.
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region.
Oh, a guarantee. What is the nature of the guarantee that Netanyahu offered here? Is it a money-back guarantee? Is Israel going to refund the $3 trillion that America spent in Iraq? The reality is that Bibi's guarantees are BS. They aren't backed by anything other than more phony claims.
There is no question whatsoever that Saddam is seeking and is working and is advancing towards the development of nuclear weapons. No question whatsoever. And there is no question that once he acquires it, history shifts immediately.
Watching these clips that are more than 20 years old, does it make you feel like the Israel foreign policy seduction of the United States is some sort of regime change Mad Lib, where they just say, like, fill in country here, probably getting nuclear weapons, join us in some destabilizing effort? Netanyahu wasn't telling the truth about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And not only did the United States believe him, we parroted his lies to the world. The last time America listened to Netanyahu based on false claims of weapons of mass destruction, we ended up pouring cash and blood all over the sands of Mesopotamia. And in the end, it only made Iran stronger. And now they're trying to get us into war with Iran. I am not offering a defense of the Islamic Republic of Iran. As a former member of the Congressional Armed Services Committee,
you
I know that
are.
Iran is evil. They attack our troops in Iraq. They undermine the safety of global shipping. They fund mischief around the world. But regime change in Iran or Iraq or Afghanistan or Libya or Syria, It does not result in the eruption of some Jeffersonian democracy or country that's a new signatory to the Abraham Accords. The reality is that regime change in the Middle East often leads to civil war, sectarian violence, and the slaughter of religious minorities, and way more terrorism. That's exactly what I'm predicting here. Israel is pursuing regime change in Iran. That is
Come on now, you expect me to believe that?
I'm saying as much. Just check out this Reuters report where Israel freely acknowledges that regime change is on the table. And things seem to have gone well past denuclearization when you're talking about assassinating a foreign leader. Axios is reporting that President Trump had to veto Israel's plans to execute the supreme leader of Iran. At this stage of the war, Israel has already killed off Iran's military leadership. They've aspired to kill off Khomeini, and they have established air superiority. At this pace, the war is probably going to end in regime change. We're actually rather successful at initially dislodging a foreign government. It's what comes next that has flummoxed Uncle Sam. Does America really want to be Israel's dance partner to this siren song again? Israel's bombing target package will expand. Their sorties will increase. They will systemically kill off enough leadership in Iran to plunge that nation into civil war and chaos. They'll Gazify Iran. Iraq will likely fall back into chaos and death and terrorism and war. President Trump knows this. He's literally the person who taught the Republican Party to kick our regime change war habit. The neocons want another fix, though, and we should.
He sounds like he's about to sell me real estate in Iran.
I know,
That's how
right?
He looks like it too.
He definitely looks like it in real estate. So earlier when we were talking about World War III, I came across this video and I found it pretty interesting because it's kind of going into like the nitty gritty of like why World War III wouldn't happen and how it's like all the relationships and stuff are a little bit shaky. Go ahead and play that one, Bell.
Not heading towards it. Get that out of your head. I understand the conflict going on with Iran and that other country in the Middle East, along with Russia and Ukraine, but this is still very small fry. Look at the disproportionate level of damage done between both countries. Iran managed to get their drones and missiles through the Iron Dome and other levels of defense to hit apartment complexes. Maybe they hit one federal building, but the level of damage that Iran has suffered is disproportionately worse. There are constant barrages going deep into Tehran. They've destroyed a great deal of Iran's nuclear facilities. They've killed over 20 top military leaders in Iran, along with 6 or 7 nuclear scientists. Since last year, Iran's air defenses have been all but dismantled, meaning billions of dollars of purchases from Russia to get the S-300 and the S-400 are now worthless. Iran's military infrastructure is heavily damaged. So is their energy infrastructure. As you could see, their Tehran oil refinery is ablaze. Now, don't get me wrong. This is a war between these two countries, but it is a war that Iran will lose if it continues. Just think, Iran has launched 6 or 7 barrages of missiles and drones, and they have not managed to take out one member of their enemy's military leadership. As to what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, just remember that Russia signed a 20-year strategic partnership agreement with Iran this January, and they have failed to honor it because they have their hands full. Russia has been reeling from wave after wave of successful Ukrainian penetration and strikes deep into Russia's military infrastructure. Aside from the Ukrainian drone strike that removed 34% of Russia's nuclear bomber capability, along with losing over 100 armored vehicles and 15 tanks in a day, Ukrainian MiG-29 just destroyed a Russian drone hub by Zaporizhzhia. This is important because about 10 days ago, Russia was producing 170 Shahed drones a day. That number is going to be a lot less now. Ukraine has managed to freeze, or at least stall, the Russian military machine in their own country. Oh, but Russia has nukes. The Russians don't even know if somehow the Ukrainians have managed to infiltrate Russia's nuclear program. What about China? China can't even take Taiwan at this point, and they definitely can't send an army over to reinforce Iran or Russia. China doesn't have a blue water navy. They have no logistical capability, no military expertise. They haven't fought a battle in 50 years. Now, it's true that China can produce between 200 to 600 times more naval vessels than the United States in a single year. But do they have the sailors and just leaders to actually navigate the ships necessary? No, they don't. China is also surrounded by very populated and fairly powerful countries that don't like them. So the only role that China can play and will play in the future for Russia and Iran's conflicts is that of a supplier. That's it. But even with China heavily supplying Iran and Russia, it's already been shown that Ukraine has so heavily infiltrated Russia and Iran has been so heavily infiltrated by their enemy that any supply drop-off at this point can easily be destroyed. So we aren't witnessing World War III. We are watching a contraction of power of the three main enemies and rivals of Western interests. That's it. Russia and Iran will be less useful gas stations and weapons depots for China. Russia and Iran can no longer exchange weapons at the scale that they once did because now they are both under full attack. And this has all been done with NATO not having to fire one single bullet. They just used two proxies, Ukraine against Russia, and then the hatchet man of the Middle East against Iran. I am the Geo Husar. If people are trying to scare you again about World War III, just show them this post. Thanks for watching.
So yeah, that's kind of what I was like. He explains it obviously better, but that's where I got like the idea of how these two little proxy wars have put a major like dent in the whole little like alliance of like the Eastern. Now this is obviously like, I'm not saying I'm pro, like I'm not trying to advocate that I'm pro Western, but it's like I am geopolitically on the Western side just because that's where I live. I don't want our countries doing the shit that they're doing, but what's your question?
How much is AIPAC paying that guy?
How much is he being paid by AIPAC? No, it's like what he's saying, like logistically and stuff. Like it does make a little bit of sense.
It does. The China part, maybe not so much. I mean, I know they're surrounded by countries who don't like them, but if they're not involved, but if those countries aren't going to get involved if they don't have a reason to.
That's fair.
But then again, maybe not, because the United States likes to get involved in conflicts that they don't have a reason to. But that's the whole thing. Like the World War III thing was a concern for me, like I said, as like this sort of reactionary. I was really pissed that Israel did what they did. It went away really fast. My bigger concern is just more destabilization in the Middle East. And
that which leads to us thinking we're the world police having to go and clean it up. Where it's just we're spending billions of dollars in the Middle East on bullshit where those billions of dollars could be spent at home.
But also, and I don't mean to be callous when I say this, because I don't want any civilians to die ever. I mean, not having war would help that, but there is like this idea of wanting like AIPAC and the Israeli government, by the way, not the Jews, because we have to be clear about this, the Israeli government to be humbled a little bit. I mean, there is a piece of that in the back of my mind. Because they run around and they talk about how nobody wants to play nice with them when they can't play nice with their neighbors. It's like this whole thing of like, the whole world hates me. Nobody likes me. I don't have any friends. Well, you're the problem. That's why. So you hire a fucking
that's some deodorant, asshole.
So then you hire a bigger bully to come up and to come and beat up all the kids that don't like you because you're an asshole. Sorry.
All right, so this last one, this TikTok video just came across my feed, and I just thought it was interesting. Any of you guys know the name of Adriana Smith?
That sounds like a name that a lot of people have. Sounds like probably a pretty common name, maybe in the black community.
Go ahead and play this video, Bell.
He didn't even respond to that.
In today's episode of We All Really Did Die in December 2012 and We Live in the Bad Place, Adriana Smith just gave birth yesterday. the black woman that the government decided to keep alive, even though she was dead. She is dead, brain dead, legally dead, to keep her alive because she was pregnant. She just delivered her baby. And by delivered, I don't mean that she was pushing or anything, no contractions, nothing like that, because again, she's dead. Yes, they delivered her baby for her via cesarean section, and her son is currently in the neonatal intensive care unit. Her family is preparing to say their goodbyes to her, which they should have already been able to do and had the opportunity to do when she was first declared brain dead. But, it doesn't matter now. All's fine and well, since the government now knows that it doesn't matter if you live, because they can keep your body moving. You can keep your body going until they're able to deliver your child, until they're able to take your kid from your dead, decaying body and raise them into their system to become one of their slaves. This is astounding. This is unprecedented. And the fact that it has just been completed, it's just been taken to the head. We need help.
So, Adriana Smith was this girl. She had a complication. No, she was pregnant.
I gathered that.
But she had this complication to where she had a brain clot, and it essentially killed her. But how I alluded earlier in the show how about half the states now they have reproductive rights, and the other halves, the states that no one really talks about, are fucked. This woman was she died, but because she was pregnant, the state law against, not necessarily against or for the family's wishes, but the family was just we wanted to be able to say goodbye to her and just get on with their lives. They kept her alive for 3 months or something like that on basically just what was that, a ventilator,
life support.
Yeah, they kept her alive so they could deliver this baby. And that's a really scary precedent to actually, when you really think about it, the idea that if someone's pregnant and they die, you're just going to force a family to deal with their dead family member being kept alive for 3 to 6 months or whatever, just to give birth.
That dead body is basically just an incubator at that point.
Yeah, that's all she was. There's more arguments to have here to where it's what the fuck is that, right? And that I wanted to bring this up because of the fact that it's
let's ask Ted Cruz.
Right. I bet you he would say, yeah, you absolutely keep her alive. It's for the American interest.
She hadn't been such an idiot and gotten a brain clot, she'd still be alive.
It's probably the fucking COVID vaccine. Right. But no, it's really fucked up, and it's really scary to think that. And then it's also a lot of the bellwethers that people, when Roe v. Wade was overturned and they got thrown back to the States. If you remember, we might have made jokes about it on the show that the more crazy, and the more crazies are gonna say they're just gonna use women as incubators now to have babies. Come on, that's silly. No, that's literally what just happened. And it's a shame that after COVID and everyone on the right realized how important body autonomy was, how they pivoted right back to just trying to control and I don't mean to sound like a feminist, but just women's bodies. There's women that are doing it too, that are also trying to control women's bodies. But and I only say that because we can't get fucking pregnant. We're guys.
Excuse me, it's 2025. Yes, we can.
No, we can't. Women get pregnant. What the fuck are you talking about, you woke ass pussy?
You're gay.
I went to go find a clip real quick to play too, and I was like, no. But no, it's just like, here we have now. Like,
outside,
this is the fruition. Like, it's. I don't think it's crazy to compare this to the fucking crazy sci-fi movie, The Matrix.
God, dude. So now, like, if you're one of those like those psychopathic dudes from a movie that like doesn't want to have a kid, like, you can't even like push your pregnant wife down the stairs anymore. You're not gonna get rid of that baby that way.
She's gonna die, and they're just gonna put her on life support, and then you gotta deal.
Jesus Christ.
And then you gotta deal with the bitch for another 6 months. And you're gonna end up with $1 million fucking medical bill.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, so there you go. It's a deterrent.
It's a deterrent. The silver lining of Jesus Christ. The silver lining of Adriana Smith is we're gonna see a lot less accidents.
Pregnant women getting pushed down the stairs.
Because nope, you can't get rid of her that way. You're still getting.
Can you like shut up?
Oh, that was not supposed to be a funny story.
That wasn't supposed to be a funny story, but we laugh to keep from crying, Dan.
Can't trust the government, dude. Never trust
Can't
the
trust them
government.
for shit.
You trust your mother every night to fix your hot pockets and make sure your Game Boy is turned on.
You can't trust them to protect your rights, and you can't trust them because they're going to take them away, right? That was clunky, but something like that.
I think that was really redundant statement you just made, but we'll take it.
Yeah.
You got.
And then so recently, I got one more. So recently, behind the scenes, me, you, and Belle have been talking about trying to get out, get out on the beat, right? Go out there and interview some people. Try to interview some people, get some content for the show and stuff like that. And so I came across this this video, and I really feel like, if Belle, you could pull this one up, our first interview. I really feel like this would probably be how our first interview goes. Because
you've done a hell of a lousy job.
So go ahead and share that one and just play it whenever you're ready. I'm just filibustering. I feel like when
it's something bad, you better get in that.
Go ahead and start that over.
We gotta stop sending.
We're here at the big house where if you did something bad, you better get in that cell. Name of
jail interview.
Come on, Clint. Let's check it out. Jail is a clubhouse where all the bad boys live. It's where all the meanest hunks sleep and eat. Pretty cool. I had a meeting with the #1 bad boy of all, name of Morgan.
You're dealing with the most
dangerous
population in the world here.
I know.
We have robbers, murderers, pedophiles, drug dealers, rapists, you name it, we have it.
You ever have to spank any of these bad boys?
Every so often we have confrontations here.
Yeah, you spank their bottoms cherry red.
It depends. It isn't as bad sometimes as people think.
Warden, can I meet some of these bad boy cat burgers and see what it's like to be a jailbird?
Let's go for it.
Kind of a little bit scary. Time for these bad boy punks to learn their lesson. I'm gonna talk some sense into these dang jailbirds. What did you do to get into the big house?
I'm in here for carjack robbery.
Oh, you're a robber? Cat burger?
It's when you take someone out of their car with a gun to their head, and you tell them to get the out, and you take that car.
Shame on you.
You look like a clown to me, fool.
Don't you start
You ain't
jumping your yap at me. I can come in there and step to
Carlson.
you.
Inside this.
Shame on you.
Step one foot in here, I'll stab the
I just feel like that's how it's gonna go. Where you're like, all right, come on, let's go have an interview. What are you doing here, you jailbird? What do you? You just need a spanking.
We gotta stop sending Bell the TikTok videos, because every time he fucking pulls it up, it just starts playing, and he's got to reverse it every single time.
Oh, look at that! It says TikTok.
And we're over here yelling. Like,
Mango tear? Put it in reverse, tear.
I hit play, and then it wants to pause, and I'm like, all right, I'll pause.
Oh, Lord! Lord, jeez!
It's TikTok, man.
You're gay.
Was that actual audio from Iran?
Oh Lord, please! This is
before they can find us.
Every time I'm just like,
You make the Pope look like a fool. God
will make you pay. Fight him.
Libservative Podcast is found on all social media and podcast platforms. Our website is libservativeshow.com. We can be found at Libservative on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Instagram and Twitter at LibservativePod. Our TikTok videos can be found at Libservative Podcast. And you can reach out directly at libservativepod@gmail.com. Subscribe today. And don't, when we give you our fucking email, don't be hitting us up with some bullshit. Don't be coming at us with like some legal jumbo bullshit.
And don't forget, smash that like button.
Yeah, go ahead and hit subscribe, brother.
Yeah. I'm so glad we don't do that shit.
And that's why we only have about like 50 fucking downloads a week.
So we have like 8 listeners. Yeah. Bell the Bodysnatcher's been on the 1s and 2s all night. He as always has been Corey Walsh.
He's Dan Griffin.
It's been Libservative Intellectual Idiots. I froze. Intellectual Idiots fostering political and cultural literacy. And until next time,
we have white privilege.
And we are out of here.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back. Somebody must lead, or else the fight would not be made at all.